Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, there's an old saying as the CEO, it's lonely at the top, but if you're a great CEO, you know that you need a coach. We'll be talking to a leading national expert next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, this is a very familiar story. You're a CEO of a very small company, and then it begins to grow. And whatever tools that you were using in your toolkit when the company was small doesn't work when it's a mid-sized company. And heaven forbid you become a large company and you're still working with those same basic tools in the toolkit. Somebody who knows that very well is joining us from our Austin studios, Joel Trammell. He's with CEOS. Thanks for coming on the show, Joel.
Great to be with you, Jeff.
Absolutely. What I love about you is that you've walked more than a mile in the CEO's shoes. You've been a CEO yourself, and you have written an amazing book, and we want to put that up on the screen right now. Let's go ahead and put the book on the screen. Chief Executive Operating System, the Essential Playbook for Success in the CEO Role. So, Joel, you wrote this with a brilliant co-author. Tell us about the book.
Yeah, so the book was my attempt to curate, 30 plus years of experience running different organizations. And I really started my first company because I wanted to learn how to run an organization at scale. I had been in the U.S. Navy, and we had a bunch of really smart engineers teaching at what the Navy calls Naval Nuclear Power School, but the organization didn't run very well, in my opinion. And so I kind of started on a journey to figure out how to run a company. And no one would hire me at 25 to be CEO of their company, so I had to start my own. Was fortunate to have some successes that allowed me to curate a lot of different information, try a lot of things, make a lot of mistakes, and now bring that to the market in a playbook for CEOs.
What's one of the takeaways that you want people to take from your book?
Well, I think the biggest thing is how you think about the CEO role. There's really no other role in an organization that is a good training ground for the CEO role. The CEO role is unique as leader of the organization. Most people come up through sales or finance or marketing, and they become an expert in that area, and every job's just a little bigger, but similar to the previous job they had. The challenge in the CEO role is it's a unique job. It's like you've been playing basketball for 25 years, and then you switch to baseball. No matter how good an athlete you are, you're not going to be as good as the people who've thought about baseball for 25 years.
Absolutely. And the point I made off of the top of the broadcast is that you might have been an efficient CEO when it was 10 employees, but then suddenly it's 50 employees, and you might not have the same tools in the toolkit. Do you want to expound on that?
Yeah, so a lot of people think the CEO job gets more complicated linearly, right? That 20 people's twice as difficult as 10. But there are really some step functions I've found involved. From about 1 employee to about 20 or 25 employees, most, smart business people can kind of run that out of their head. They don't really need to think in terms of systems. And yes, they're the CEO, but they're also really filling all the executive roles in the company. They're making all the decisions in the company. So they have the executive team meeting every morning when they have coffee, right? But then as you get past about 25 employees, things get more complicated because it becomes beyond the capabilities of one person to really keep everything in mind. And so there's a transition from 25 to about 100 people where you need to be replacing yourself in all those executive positions with qualified executives who are experts in sales, marketing, finance, whatever area you need. And then you reach the point at 100, 150 employees where there is a full-time CEO role. And a lot of people don't understand what that role is, but then that role stays very similar. I've run everything from a high-growth startup to a near billion-dollar revenue public company with thousands of employees, and the job didn't feel dramatically different with 250 employees or 3,000 employees.
Wow. So you hold these master classes, and we're going to roll a video in a second, but I want you to set the stage for the video that we're about to see. Describe your master classes.
Well, most people, go to school for many years to train for whatever job function they have, and then they get the CEO role just by fiat, right? Somebody walks in one day and says, congratulations, we'd like you to be CEO. And so what we're trying to do is summarize the best practices, the best mental models that are out there for being CEO, and we do that typically in a 3-day all-inclusive class at my ranch outside Austin.
Outstanding. Let's go ahead and roll that clip.
I had previously read Joel's book, and I think just really understanding that there's not a formalized course for being a CEO. I definitely knew that needed to kind of hone my skills and my craft, and this is really one of the first pieces of curriculum out there that allows you to do that as a CEO.
The caliber of students that I'm sitting with has been exceptional. Executives from all over the country, people from different walks of life, and I think that's an important attribute to bring towards any educational environment.
I would say pretty much everything about the course has exceeded my expectations. Really blown away by the amount of takeaway value in the course in such a short period of time. I've never seen something like this so concisely stated and so many kind of very simple takeaway tools.
This course is amazing because you get so many very practical things to apply to your business almost instantaneously. If you're looking for a very practical course or practical information and education around becoming a great CEO or even becoming a better CEO, this is one of those courses that are seminars that'd be great.
All right, Joel, it impresses me that not only do you have an action-packed 3-day symposium, if you will, but the quality of the people in the room, the networking alone makes it worth it, isn't it?
Well, that's one of the things I enjoy most about teaching the class, that the experiences in the room. I mean, often we're sitting there with people who've had all kinds of amazing experiences. I remember the last class we had a Navy SEAL who had been in Afghanistan. We've had people from all different walks of life, all different ways in which they got into the CEO role. We've had people whose parents started the business and they, inherited the role. We've had people that were kind of minding their own business in some executive role and then got, the opportunity. And we've had people who built their business from zero to hundreds of millions of dollars. So it is a fascinating group of people.
Joel, what's one of your favorite success stories of someone you've coached?
Well, I've been doing some form of this class for, over 15 years. And so, now I'm getting to see the fruits of that labor. So I was at an event a few years ago and somebody tapped me on the shoulder, and it was somebody who had taken one of the very early first or second year classes I had done. And when they took the class, they were 30 employees or something, a fairly small business. And, now they've grown to hundreds of employees and raised money at near $1 billion valuation. And they were just, thankful that what they had taken in the class, while when they were 30, they didn't think they needed all of it. Now they were seeing the value of everything we had provided and how it had made the past so much easier. And that's just very fulfilling, obviously, to hear that.
Sure. I love a car analogy. So if you're a mechanic and you hear a sound, often before you even pop the hood, what's wrong with the car. Do you find the same thing with CEOs?
Well, certainly there are a couple of things that give me clues. So, we do behavioral assessments of every person in the class, and depending on your, kind of natural inborn proclivities, those are going to be strengths particularly, but it also may lead to certain weaknesses. And then the other thing that we look at is, what is your history? Most people come to the CEO role from a functional discipline. They were a salesperson, and then they were a sales manager and a director and a VP of sales, and then eventually CEO, or they went through finance or whatever. And so, there are a certain set of natural behaviors you're going to have that allow you to have certain strengths, but you've got to offset those strengths with other areas where you're going to be weak. And then you're naturally going to tend to see the business from your area of expertise. And so one of the things we have to do is give you a model to look at the business from a broader context, to understand that everything's important in the business. It's not just about sales or making a profit or marketing or whatever your functional area of expertise happened to be.
Sure. I hang out around a lot of CEOs myself, and I can say, just speaking for myself, there's a lot of fragile egos out there. I mean, nobody wants to be told that their baby is ugly. So talk about the wisdom of putting your ego in check and saying, I don't know all there is to know, and that I might be able to learn something from Joel and his team.
Yeah, it's funny because obviously I talk to a lot of CEOs, and in that first conversation, often they have their guard up. You can tell they're kind of probing. But after a few minutes, when I point out, well, maybe you're probably feeling like this, or maybe you're struggling with this idea or this concept, they go, oh, you know that this facade I'm putting on, that I feel like I have to show I'm the expert, that I know what I'm doing, I have to give confidence and be optimistic for my team. You know this is an act. And so often they break down pretty quick when you convince them that you've been there, you know what it feels like. And what I tell everybody is no one's qualified the day they take over as CEO. I mean, I think I'm a pretty good CEO, but if you make me CEO of your company tomorrow, there are a whole bunch of things that I've got to come to grips with and understand from customers, from employees, the market, what's the vision of the company, what's the culture like, who are the employees. These are all things I need to learn. And so everyone's incompetent the day they step into the CEO role. What the gig is about taking a process to get better every day so that you can organize the company in a way to maximize return.
Joel, we have just 2 or 3 minutes left. So final thoughts. What do you want to leave people with?
Well, I want to leave people with the idea that there is somebody out there who's thought about this problem for many years and has a methodology that can give you, that you can take back into your organization, and you will increase the productivity of your organization. I don't have the answer to all your problems in your market or your product or how to sell more necessarily, but I think we can allow you to run the organization much more effectively, much more efficiently, and lose a lot less sleep if you follow our methodology.
Outstanding. You've been an amazing guest. We're going to leave everybody with your website so they can sign up for your masterclass and get your book. It's CEOSYS.co. The great Joel Trammell. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for doing this, Jeff.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.